Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
So, i-discuss ngayon ay Chapter 13, Standard Costing. No? So, I suggest you have on your desks a pencil, a ball pen, a paper, no? Para sa notes. Chapter 13 ay standard costing. It requires memorization of the formula to compute for the variances. Ano ba yung variance? Ang variance results when the actual costs of production are different from the standard costs or budgeted costs set by management. Yung cost na tinutukoy ay o nire-refer to ay ang materials, direct labor, and factory overhead. So, at the beginning of an accounting period or at the beginning of the production period process, nagsaset ng standard cost ang management. Standard cost of materials, standard direct labor cost, and standard factory overhead o yung applied, no? So if the actual costs are different, variances nga ang nagre-result, and the variance may either be favorable or unfavorable. If actual cost is greater than or more than, mas mataas kaysa sa standard cost, an unfavorable variance results. If actual cost is less than o mas maliit kaysa sa standard cost, a favorable variance results. The unfavorable or favorable variance is close sa cost of goods sold. Ano? Kung standard costing ang ginagamit, ibig sabihin noon, kung standard costs ang ginamit to compute the cost of the product. So, yung variances either added or deducted. Kapag ka-favorable ay anong ginagawa? To determine the actual cost, dinideduct. Pagka naman unfavorable, added to determine the actual cost. Ang materials variance, there are two factors to compute for the total cost of materials, price and quantity. No. So the total materials variance ay are composed of the rate variance or the price variance and the quantity variance. Pag pinagsama yung dalawang yun, it results to the total materials variance. Kung ang isa ay positive or favorable, kung ang isa ay positive or unfavorable, at ang isa naman ay negative or favorable, the net amount is the total variance. Bakit pagka negative favorable? Kasi you deduct the standard from the actual. Nauuna yung actual. No? So actual minus standard is equal to the variance multiplied by the quantity is equal to the variance. So kung mas mataas yung standard sa actual, negative ang lalabas. No? And that is favorable. Sa page 411, ano ba yung possible causes ng materials price variance? Bakit nagre-result? Ang variance, una, fluctuations in market prices of materials. So at the beginning of an accounting period, nagsaset ng standard price o yung budgeted na tinatawag. So if there are fluctuations in prices caused by economic conditions, halimbawa ngayon, mataas yung cost ng flour, no? Ginagamit sa tinapay, tataas. So, nagkakaroon ng price variance. Number 2, purchasing from distant suppliers resulting in additional transportation costs. So, dahil ang freight in ay nagiging part ng cost ng materials, kung mataas ang cost of transportation, tataas ang actual price. So, nagkakaroon ng variance. Failure to avail of cash discount. So, yung cash discount is deducted from the amount of purchase to arrive at net purchases. So, kung hindi na-avail yung discount, mas mataas ang cost of purchase. So, a price variance results. Kasi pag nagawa ng budget o na standard cost, usually, tinitake into consideration the amount of the discount that the company will avail to set the standard price. Purchasing materials of inferior quality. Kapag inferior ang quality, usually mas maliit ang presyo kaysa doon sa magandang quality. Lower in price, it may result to a favorable price variance. No? Kasi nga, mas mababa yung presyo niya. But, may effect naman yun sa quantity variance. No? So, the possible causes of materials quantity variance on page 411 pa rin. Number 1, loss of materials due to poor handling. No? Ano sabihin ng poor handling? Maraming nasasayang, maraming naaaksaya. Halimbawa, natatapon, nasisira. So, more quantity is used than is set by the company as standard quantity. Number 2, use of defective or substandard materials. Katulad nga nung sinabi ko kanina sa number 4, purchasing materials of inferior quality may result to a favorable price variance, but in terms of quantity, magkakaroon ng unfavorable variance. Kasi inferior ang quantity niyan, substandard, nasasayang because of defect. Nagiging defective, hindi nagagamit ng maayos. Lack of proper tools or machines. So, kung hindi maayos yung ginagamit na tools or machines, nasisira yung production, resulting to a higher quantity of materials used. And then, spoilage or waste due to use of inferior quality materials. Okay, so kapareho yun ang number 2. How do we compute the materials price variance? So I suggest you write the formula, para pagka nag-discuss ng problem, you just substitute the amount. So materials price variance is the difference between the actual price or AP minus the standard price or SP, and then the difference multiplied by the actual quantity. And that is the materials price variance. Again, actual price minus standard price, difference multiplied by actual quantity. So if the actual price is more than the standard price, the difference is a positive number multiplied by actual quantity. The result is an unfavorable price variance. If the actual price is less than the standard price, so actual price minus standard price, the difference is a negative number multiplied by the actual quantity, it would result to a negative amount which is favorable. The materials usage or quantity variance is computed by comparing the actual quantity with the standard quantity. So actual quantity minus standard quantity, the difference multiplied by standard price. So again, if actual quantity is more than the standard quantity, positive ang difference multiplied by standard price, it is an unfavorable quantity variance. If the actual quantity is less than the standard quantity, the difference is a negative number multiplied by standard price. The result is a negative variance which is favorable. Sa labor naman, direct labor, dalawa rin ang variances dito. The total direct labor variance. Total direct labor variance is the actual direct labor cost compared with the standard direct labor cost. So again, nahahatiin din ito sa dalawa. Yung analysis niya would be how much is the variance due to the rate and how much is the variance due to efficiency. The rate refers to magkano ba yung binayad sa mga workers per hour or per day, ganon. Ang efficiency naman would refer to the number of hours spent in producing the products. So katulad ng materials price variance, ang labor efficiency variance is computed by comparing actual hours minus standard hours. The difference multiplied by the what? The actual rate. So if the actual hours is more than the standard, efficiency na pala yun. Sorry, rate pa lang tayo. So katulad ng price variance, ang rate variance is the actual rate minus standard rate, the difference multiplied by the actual hours. So kung mas mataas ang actual rate kasi sa standard rate, positive ang result, and then the variance is unfavorable. If the actual rate is less than the standard rate, negative ang difference multiplied by the actual hours, it would result to a negative amount which is a favorable rate variance. Sa efficiency naman, this is a comparison of the number of hours spent on the production. So for efficiency, it is actual hours minus standard hours, the difference multiplied by standard rate. Again, if actual hours is more than the standard hours, it is a positive difference, for a positive variance which is unfavorable. If the actual hours is less than the standard hours, it is a negative difference multiplied by standard rate. The result is a negative amount which is a favorable efficiency variance. Ano-ano ba yung cost ng labor rate variance? Ang isang cost niya ay change in labor rate. So, sa budget, nagsaset ng amount and then during the year or during the accounting period, nagkaroon ng wage increase, that would result to an increase in direct labor cost, which is most probably unfavorable kasi tataas, di ba? And then sa efficiency naman, one of the possible causes ay yung inexperienced workers, yung maraming nasasayang na oras dahil kulang sa experience ang workers, that would result to a higher than standard number of hours set by the company. So it would result to an unfavorable quantity variance. Yung dalawang ito muna ang ating uunahin dahil medyo mas mahaba ang discussion for factory overhead variance. So problem number one. Kung hindi kayo nakakasunod, kung nabibilisan kayo, i-call nyo attention ko ha. Kaya nagtatanong ako sa inyo pero medyo bumagal ako. Kung hindi ako nagtatanong at nagsasalita lang ako, may tendency akong mabilis, super bilis. Ha? Okay, so problem number one. So given yung mga actual hours dito, standard hours, actual price of materials, standard price, and then actual labor rate, standard labor rate, and then you are asked to compute for number one, material price variance. Again, ano ang formula? Material price variance, actual price minus standard price multiplied by the what? Actual quantity. O ano yung actual price dyan? 2.52 per unit. No. The standard materials price is 2.50. How much the difference? 0.02, which is positive. No, positive siya. Kasi mas malaki yung actual. Multiplied by the what? Actual quantity of materials purchased and used. Doon sa dulo, 4,450 units. So what is the price variance?
89 po. Unfavorable po.
Okay, so when you are asked, kahit sa exam, what is the variance? You do not just write 89. May karunod yun. UF for unfavorable, o gusto nyo isulat, unfavorable buo. Or F for favorable, or FAB, FAB, or favorable. So you do not just write 89, ha? 89 UF, or 89 unfavorable. Efficiency variance, what is the formula? Actual quantity used. Ilan ang actual quantity used? 4,450. Standard quantity given then 4,050. A difference is positive 400. Diba? What is the multiplier? The standard price of 2.50. How much?
1,000.
1,000 po.
Sinabi na may kusunod. Ay, ang ulit.
UF po.
Okay,
Unfavorable.
1,000 unfavorable. UF. Labor rate variance, actual rate, which is 3 pesos, minus standard labor rate. How much standard labor rate to be? 3.10. So difference is negative 10 multiplied by the actual labor hours used of 3,150. How much?
315 F.
315 favorable po.
Okay, favorable, negative ang result, diba? So that is favorable. Efficiency variance, actual hours, which is how many? 3,150. Minus standard labor hours to be used. Dapat yan ha. Yung sa standard is not used. Dapat yan to be used. Pareho. Standard quantity of materials to be used standard labor hours to be used, parehong to be used. So 3,150 minus 3,000 hours, difference is 150 positive, multiplied by what? Standard labor rate of 3.10.
465 unfavorable po.
Okay, 465 unfavorable. So mas mabilis kung meron kayong nakasulat na formula. Next, Longview Hospital performs blood tests in its laboratory. The following standards have been set for each blood test performed. So given yung mga standard quantity of direct materials, 2 plates. The rate is, or the price, dapat yun, 2.75 per plate. Direct labor, ang nagagamit is 0.2 of an hour. So equivalent to, kung 60 minutes times 0.2, equivalent to 12 minutes. The rate is 15 pesos per hour. And then, variable overhead, wag na natin pakialaman yan dahil wala pa tayong overhead. During May, the laboratory performed 1,500 blood tests. On May 1, there were no plates on hand. No, kasi nga, pagka nagamit, tinatapon na. So, variable overhead, etc., etc. The following events occurred during May. Letter A, 3,600 plates were purchased at a cost of 9,540. The total cost was given. You have to compute for the cost per plate. 9,540 divided by 3,600. Magkano ang cost per plate? Na
2.65 po.
65. Okay. 3,200 plates were used for blood tests. 340 actual direct labor hours were worked at a cost of 5,100. So again, the total labor cost was given. You have to compute the rate per hour. 5,100 divided by 340 direct labor hours, magkano per hour?
15 po.
15, okay. Compute the following, the materials price variance. Price variance is usually computed doon sa purchases. Purchases. So if 3,600 plates were purchased, actual rate is 2.65 or actual price. Standard price is 2.75. That is a difference of 10 centavos. Multiplied by 3,600 plates purchased, magkano ang price variance?
360 po. For favorable po.
Hindi po ang kasunod favorable or unfavorable. So favorable, mas maliit yung actual price. Quantity variance is actual quantity used. Sa letter B, 3,200 plates. Minus standard quantity to be used. Kung 1,500 blood tests ang nagawa and 2 plates are used for every blood tests, ilan ang standard quantity? Ilang plates? Okay, 3,000. So 3,200 minus 3,000, the difference is 200 positive. Multiplied by standard price of 2.75. O magkano yung quantity variance?
550 po. Unfavorable.
Unfavorable, okay. Rate variance. Actual rate, doon sa letter C, pinakompute ko sa inyo, actual rate is 15. No. Standard rate ng direct labor, 15 also. Magkakaroon ba ng rate variance?
Wala po.
Wala. Okay, wala. 0. No, 0. Efficiency variance. So letter C, 340 hours were used. Ilan ang standard hours if 1,500 blood tests were performed and it requires 0.2 of an hour for every blood test? Ilang oras ang dapat na nagamit?
300 hours po.
300. Okay. A difference of 40 hours times standard rate. Magkano ang efficiency variance?
600 unfavorable po.
Okay. 600 unfavorable. Okay. That is correct. So, yung ibang problems, meron ng overhead yan. Huwag muna natin gamitin, ha? So, multiple choice, 430. Medyo mahaba ang overhead, ano? Kasi ang daming formula na ginagamit o maraming methods. 2 variants, 3 variants, 4 variants, no? So, next meeting na yon. Multiple choice, problem number 1. So, during August 2019, a company produced 1,000 units of a product, page 430 yan ha, using 3,600 pounds. So, that is the actual quantity, no, 3,600 pounds, at a cost of 2.2 per pound, that is the actual price. The direct material standard requires 4 pounds of material per unit of a product at standard price of 2 pesos per pound. What is the materials efficiency variance? O, ano na ang formula? Actual quantity minus standard quantity. Given ang actual quantity, 3,600. Ilan ang standard quantity? 4 pounds for every unit.
4,000 po.
Okay, 4,000. So 3,600 minus 4,000. That is a difference of 400 negative. Ano? Times standard rate of 2. O magkano ang efficiency or quantity variance?
800. Favorable.
O, ang daming 800 dyan. Dalawa.
Favorable.
Letter 1.
Favorable po.
Okay, letter C. If you are asked to compute for the price variance, actual price, magkano ang price variance? Anong formula? Actual price minus standard price multiplied by actual quantity.
720
720 unfavorable.
unfavorable.
Okay, unfavorable. Ano, mas malaki yung actual price by 20 centavos multiplied by actual quantity of 3,600 units. Okay, number 2. The standard direct labor cost for a product is 3 hours at 6 per hour. Nasaan na kaya yung listahan ko na nadi-discuss? Okay. 3 hours at 6 per hour. And then, budgeted production was 10,000 units. For the year, actual production was 12,000 units. Actual direct labor cost was 210,375 for 38,250 hours. So you have to compute for the actual direct labor rate. No. 210,375 minus, divided by 38,250. Ano? Magkano actual labor rate?
5.5 po.
Okay, 5.5. Okay, compute the rate variance. So ano na naman ang formula? Actual rate, 5.5 minus standard rate, 6 pesos multiplied by the actual hours. O ilan?
19,125 favorable po.
Okay, favorable. And then the efficiency, actual number of hours. So saan nyo ibabase? Doon ba sa budgeted production o sa actual production?
Actual po.
Okay, actual production, 12,000 units times 3, that is the standard. No. Yung actual hours, 38,250. So efficiency variance, actual hours, 38,250 minus standard hours for 12,000 units, 36,000. And then multiplied by what? Standard rate. So magkano?
13,500 unfavorable po.
Unfavorable. If you are asked, magkano yung direct labor variance? Direct labor variance is the sum of the rate variance and the efficiency variance. Favorable yung rate variance, 19,125. Unfavorable yung efficiency variance, 13,500. O ano yung sum? Yung isa positive, isa negative.
5,625 po.
Ano, favorable or unfavorable?
Favorable po.
Okay, favorable. Kapag kinompute nyo yan sa total, the actual direct labor cost is 210,375. Magkano yung standard? Ha? Magkano yung standard? 216,000. Paano na-compute yung standard? 12,000 units again times 6 times 6 times 3, 36,000 hours. Ano? Multiplied by magkano yung standard rate? 6. O magkano yung standard direct labor cost? Ha?
216,000 po.
216,000. So, mas malaki yung standard kaysa sa actual. Ano, pag minus mo yan, negative figure ang lalabas, favorable. So, 210,375 actual direct labor cost minus standard direct labor cost of 216,000, 5,625. No, favorable. Now, kapag ka in-analyze yan into rate variance and efficiency, yung letter A na sagot ang lalabas. 19,125 favorable for rate variance and 13,500 unfavorable for efficiency variance. No? Itong next problem, medyo mahaba pero pwede natin gawin. Ha? Next problem, pero hanggang ano lang tayo, number 9 kasi 10, 11 ay overhead. Okay. So, Big Book Company builds wooden bookshelf wall units. The company standard costs are so given ang standard. A recent one transactions where 160 pounds of wood were purchased at 650 per pound. 50,000 pounds of trim were purchased at 960 per pound. 155,000 pounds of wood were issued to production. 48,000 pounds of trim were issued to production. Direct labor incurred was 31,000 hours at an average cost of 11.50 per hour. O yung overhead, wag na. 6,000 units were produced during the month. What was the actual cost of wood purchased? Actual cost. So how many pounds of wood were purchased at 650? Yun lang yun, ha? Ano?
1,040,000 po.
1,040,000. What was the total standard cost of wood purchase? Yung standard. So 160,000 pounds at standard cost of how much per pound? Nakalagay dyan sa taas.
1,024,000 po.
Okay, at 6.4, no? So 160,000 times 6.4, 1,024,000. So magkano yung price variance? Magkano yung price variance? Oh, you just compare number 3 and bakit pareho number 3, no? Oh, just compare number 3 and number 3. No. Oh, actual 16,000 unfavorable kasi yung actual cost 1,040,000. Ang standard cost is 1,024,000. So 16,000 unfavorable. What was the actual cost of trim purchased? 50,000 pounds were purchased at 9.6.
480,000.
Okay. And then, trim variance ang tinatanong agad. So we compute for the standard cost. 50,000 pounds at 10 per pound ay 500,000. So actual cost 480,000. Standard cost is 500,000. So the trim price variance is
20,000 favorable po.
okay, 20,000 favorable. Next, trim efficiency variance. Ilan daw ang nagamit for the trim? 48,500 pounds of trim were issued. That is the actual quantity. Ilan ba ang dapat na nagamit for 6,000 units produced? Per
48,000.
unit, it requires 8 pounds. So 48,000 pounds ang dapat na nagamit. Oh, 48,500 minus 48,000 is 500 pounds difference. You multiply it by how much?
10 po.
Okay, standard cost of 10. So efficiency variance for trim is letter what?
Letter C.
C po.
Okay,
Unfavorable.
5,000 unfavorable. Labor rate variance. Dapat labor rate yan na, hindi price. Labor rate variance, actual rate. Magkano actual rate? 31,000 hours were used at 11.50 per hour. So that is the actual rate, 11.50. The standard rate is 12 pesos. So difference between the two multiplied by the actual hours. Ilan?
15,500.
15,500 favorable.
Okay, favorable. Mas mababa ang actual rate. Efficiency. Actual hours, 31,000. Ilan ang standard hours? Each unit requires 5 hours. So 6,000 units times 5, ilan ang standard hours?
30,000 po.
Okay. Difference multiplied by standard rate of 12. Ilan na?
12,000 po.
Ano? Dalawa.
Unfavorable.
Okay, unfavorable. Isa lang pala ang 12,000. Okay, we continue next meeting, ha? So, isasabay na natin yung yung overhead. If there are problems regarding yung material variance tsaka labor variance, you try to compute, ha? You try to compute doon sa multiple choice. Okay? So, yan ko na, ha? Running